Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
This episode is brought to you by Opill, the first over-the-counter daily birth control pill available in the U.S. Opill is FDA approved, full prescription strength, and estrogen-free. Plus, there's no prescription needed. Finally, the days of needing a prescription for birth control are over. Opill is available online and at most major retailers. Take control of your health and reproductive journey with Opill. Birth control in your control. Use code BIRTHCONTROL for 25% off your first month of Opill at Opill.com.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the vehicle owner's manual for important feature limitations and information.
Hello and welcome to the Premier League Cricket Show. As we approach the start of the season, we're going to start with our previews today, and we've got a couple of leagues who are actually going to start playing this Saturday, the 20th of April. First up, we've got Mark Evans from the Lincolnshire League. He's also the leading umpire in that league, and he's going to be talking us around the Lincolnshire Premier League. And then we've got the Sawston and Babraham captain, Dan Heath, talking about the East Anglian Premier League. Enjoy. So with us today to talk about the Lincolnshire Premier League is Mark Evans, the fixture secretary from Lincolnshire, who is also, it's the best seat in the house without a shadow, because he is the leading umpire. That is actually the leading umpire in the panel last year in the Lincolnshire League. How are you doing, Mark?
Yeah, good, thank you. Good
to see you. And obviously Hugh's at the other end of the line, as always, with his Lincolnshire stats set up, ready to go, I'm sure, Hugh.
We'll see about that, but yes, at the other end, just concerned that you've made it back from Vegas in one piece here. You know, we had a bet running, but I'm disappointed to see you home. I thought you'd be rolling in the desert somewhere or doing a Johnny Depp.
All I'll say is not too much money was lost, but a hell of a lot was bloody spent. Is the best way to put it. If anyone tells you things have gone up in price in this country, go out to Las Vegas is all I'll tell you.
Yeah. But things go up in price when you gamble $100 on the table and stay up all night drinking.
Yeah, well, I was trying to find the odds on the European cricket that was going on, but there was absolutely nothing going on in Vegas for that. Didn't have a clue.
Disappointed. Yeah,
Vinny will be disappointed, definitely so. Hey, let's get stuck into the Lincolnshire League. It's one of those interesting leagues for us because it spans such a wide expanse of a county, doesn't it, Mark? From, I think you were saying 100 miles north to south and 60 east to west. You do some travelling around Lincolnshire, don't you?
Us in Lincoln are fairly all right. We're middle of the road, but the guys down the south have to go up to Grimsby and Scunthorpe, and then vice versa. We've got guys at Barton that go down to Deepin and Bourne, Long Sutton, across to Grantham, and then in previous years they've gone across to Skegness when they've been in the league. So lots of travelling.
Lot of travelling, and this year a little bit extra travelling as well because you've now gone to 12 teams from 11 teams in the Prem. Do you want to explain to listeners why you've gone from 11 to 12?
So in 2022, at the end of 2022 season, Lau found that it wasn't sustainable to stay in the league, and also playing strength wise they felt that they couldn't compete, which was understandable. They had quite a lot of youngsters playing, so they decided to go into one of the other feeder leagues. With it being so late, the fixtures had been done, so we just decided that we'd go and stay at 11 teams, so everybody had a bye week or 2 bye weeks. It seemed to work okay, and then for this coming season, Long Sutton got promoted from one of the feeder leagues. So we're back up to 12.
Back up to 12, and everybody will be looking to topple those winners from last year, Lindham, who went 20 games, unbeaten. There were 2 cancelled and 2 abandoned, but it's fascinating when you look at the league table there to see 20 games, 16 won. They didn't need to win a single batting point because obviously they didn't lose any games. 80 bowling points, so they averaged over 4 bowling points a game as well, which is phenomenal, and won the league quite easily at the end, I think, Mark, didn't they?
Yeah, my old club, I played there for 20-odd years, so no bias or anything when they won the league. So, yeah, the celebrations was good. First time in 23 years. For the outfit that they were, they definitely deserved to win. Batting and bowling, like you say, they opened up with Will Wright, who has plied his trade in Leicestershire Seconds, but then decided to come back home. He opened up. Then you've got Rob Cook, the captain, who has been there 4 or 5 years, I think now. He come back from Sandy Acre, played in the national club competition and won that with Sandy Acre. So he's very valuable with the bat and ball. And then they had Jake Benson, another spinner, in the side, and then they had Joe Peatman, who's a quick bowler, and Andy Harris, very good medium pacer, swings it away a lot, got loads of wickets, the league
can be summed up by the fact that they did have 2 of the top 4 bowlers, which is why they won all those bowling points throughout the season. If you look across the year, nobody even got even close to the amount of bowling points that they got either. So it was a really substantial win. I think one of the biggest wins around the country for us, as we looked at, wasn't it, Hugh, winning by 53 points?
Yeah, but I mean, considering how dominant they were, Sleaford, ran them reasonably close, didn't they? It wasn't a total runaway, but there was a few teams dogging at their heels there. Grantham and Sleaford doing all right, but it was, in terms of closeness, there was quite a drop off, particularly from the top 3 going downwards. It was. I think William Wright, looking there, he had 787 runs at 60, striking at 75, and then that was well clear of just about anybody else. Kindell Hidir, I think it's pronounced. He had a terrific season, and a young lad, and we'll come to him in a minute, but he was second there, 614 runs. But what's interesting was that whilst they had William Lyndon was top, actually their batting depth wasn't, it was lots of guys getting 100, 200 runs, but nothing much in between that sort of top. So it was really the wickets that won it for them, I feel. Those 2, Jake Benson and Andy Harris there, just taking 72 wickets between them. A very, very good average, 10 and 13 respectively. So that looked key to me.
Has that got anything to do with the track at Linden, Mark?
No, James Quincy, the curator there, has been there. Well, his dad used to do the ground back in the 80s and 90s when I was about playing there. It's been for everybody, really. Bit of spin. James is an old spinner that used to play for Lincolnshire with Steve Bradford many moons ago. There's a bit in it for all bowlers, and once you get your head down as a batsman, this runners there as well.
And would you back what Hugh said there in terms of Linden winning? It was the depth overall that they had in the squad that took you.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody chipping in. Like I say, Rob Cook with bat and ball. I think he got a couple of 100 runs and 25 wickets. Tom Lane came up from the second team, who was another spinner. So they had 3 spinners in the side. And then batting wise, there was a Australian lad they had, Gus Robbins. He scored 400 runs for them. So everybody was chipping in, both bat and ball. I think a lot of the catches were all by 5, 6, 7, 8 people rather than just 1 or 2 that you tend to find.
Makes the difference, definitely. That's last year. We're now a few weeks away from the start of the season. Currently, as we sit here today, you guys will start on the 20th of April, and we won't go into any other further discussion than that. Let's look forward to 2024. That's what these preview shows are all about. What's been happening in the market over the winter, Mark? Has there been much movement in terms of players around the league?
So I also look after the registration of incoming and outgoing players in the league. So there's been a bit of movement. The major
Any significant ones?
Alex King, opening bowler at Woodall Spa and captain, got into the county setup into links in the middle of the season, played at least 2 or 3 of the 4-day games. He's gone to Cleethorpes, so that's a big major one. There has been a couple going to Grimsby. There's George Drury, he's another quick bowler. He's gone from Scunthorpe to Grimsby. There's not much movement out of Bourne. They've got Carl Wilson, ex-county keeper, and Dan Freeman, who played for the county as well. He's moved from Attenborough, born. There's the two brothers, Johnny Cheer and Colin Cheer. One's a batter, one's a bowler. Johnny will get 400 or 500 runs and Colin will get 30 or 40 wickets. Mm-hmm. They have done for 5 or 6 years at least, if not more. They've also got Sam Everson. That name might ring a bell. His brother Joey. Yeah, plays for Kent. So Sam, again, 300, 400 runs minimum out of those. Just looking at the others.
We've got any Keast family being represented this year?
No, I think Nick's still playing his trade in Notts, though we keep trying to badger him to come back into links. I know the Keast family from Louth, top players. There's also...
Is it Tom, Ben and Nick? Is that all three of them?
Yeah, that's
There's 3 of them,
Yeah, 3 of them. And that's also like the Kimbers that were associated with Lyndon. There's Louis, who's playing at Leicestershire. Nick was at Surrey, though didn't get many opportunities down there, which was a shame because he's a very good quick bowler. And then there's James Kimber. Yeah, James, we didn't see him. I think he might have moved away. But he didn't play at all last season. So
I can't imagine the squabbling going on in those households when they were young. It must have been competitive city. Yeah. I'm having the biggest chip. No, you're having the biggest chip.
Phil Kimber, the dad, is that laid back, unreal. I played with him at the Lindham, and so laid back. But the kids were running around, bat and ball in hand, and as soon as you got tired, they'd jump onto somebody else. And I imagine the Keasts at Louth as well.
Pretty much the same. So there's been some movements around the league there. The big question that we'll be asking all the leagues, the people from the leagues, is in terms of pros and overseas players that have been brought in, there's going to be 1 or 2 who are going to stay with the same club. It happens year in, year out. But is there anyone new that's been brought in that's recognisable and you go, hang on a minute, that could be an interesting one being brought into our Lincolnshire League?
Sleaford as ever, last year and the year before that, 2022, they had Henry Cooper, who was on the cusp of, he played New Zealand A, plays for Northern Districts. For them, he scored 3,500 runs, 34 with the bat. Awesome, absolutely brilliant to watch. I had the pleasure of umpiring him a couple of times and can hit a ball a long way. Obviously, Henry's not coming back this year. They've gone for a South African called Daniel Smith. He's at Western Province. And in his last 4 games for Western Province, he's scored 60, 52, 62 and 106 left-handed bat. You find that, or at least I find out that with left-handers, they're very difficult to get out. Will Wright's a left-hander.
Is that difficult to get out, or just you bloody umpires not giving them out?
No, I gave Henry out a couple of times, LBW.
Did you hear a stutter then?
Only a couple of times. Yeah, they are difficult, though. I used to be a lad called Matt Rutherford, playing at Market Raisin. You bowl round the wicket to Matt, cramp him up, just nick off to slip or keeper. 7 out of the last 8 innings that I bowled at him. Round the wicket, jab at him.
Mark Evans' official bunny.
Yeah, though he is very good, but still playing.
So you think the replacement of Henry Cooper is going to be an interesting one down there at Sleaford? Anywhere else?
There is, I'm just looking on my paper, Isaac Bird is going to Grimsby. He's on an Irish passport, though he's originally from New Zealand. 21-year-old quick bowler, so he'll complement with George Jury. I think there's one of the Tice brothers, spinner. They've also got another 2 lads that picked one up from Cleethorpes called Tom Morris, who I believe's very good, and Jack Smith from Hacksea. He's scored quite a few runs in the feeder league, so they've managed to snap him up. There's still Alatullah Nazi, who's of Norwegian. He's been playing for the Norway national side the last 4 years. He's very quick, though he plays at Market Deeping, which is a postage stamp. Nice defensive shot through mid-on, past mid-on, 20 yards further on, that's hit the boundary. It's very short. He scored 164, I think, was his top score. Probably 60 or 70 anywhere else.
And he scored 500 plus runs and took 40 wickets there last year.
Yeah, very, very good bowler. Very good bowler. And again, complimenting him, Matt Mills, who I believe's on Leicester's books. And I think even his brother Joe, he's on their books as well. Looking at Woodall, they've got ex-Test player that's now part of the Woodall community. PJ, as we know him as, Prasanna Jayawardene. Again, great to watch. Great player to watch. He is the one that kept Sangakkara out for a little while at test level, yeah. And I did a Sunday league game with Woodhall Spa last season, and it's the first time I think in about 7 or 8 years he'd put the wicket-keeping gloves on halfway through the game. Took 2 stumpings, a catch and a run out.
Yeah. And batted and bowled in the same match.
Yeah, so yeah, he did everything but umpire. Though I think he might have asked for one of the decisions off me. Yeah. Avishka Thuradin. He's a 22-year-old Sri Lankan right-hand bat, bat 3 or 4. And he's a medium pacer. Scunthorpe have got Prayashun Kandaru. He's a 28-year-old Pakistani lad, top opening bar, but he's a spin bowler. I think he's a left armer.
That's a shock. Slow left armer.
Yeah, slow left armers. Yeah.
Well, spin did so well last year, didn't it? That it seems to be.
Yes, spinners
are a good bet for an overseas.
Definitely. So, looking ahead to this season, there must be some young prospects in particular in the league, Mark, who stand in the best seat in the house as you do. You just enjoy watching these young lads come through. Is there anyone that comes to mind from last season who you're looking forward to watching again this year and seeing how they use the horse racing analogy training on?
Yeah, we have an award for young bowler, young batsman, young fielder. The bowling went to a lad called AJ Cook, who seems to have been around for like 25, 30 years. I found out last night, talking to his dad, he's 19. So I think he started playing men's cricket at 12 or 13. Wow. And it just seems that he's been around for ages. So he won the award with Netlham, but he's moved back to Bracebridge Heath. There's Surav Nijar at Scunthorpe, who's a batsman. He's very good. And Ayush Patel, he's another left-hand opening bat for Sleaford, and he's still a youngster. And when I say youngsters, I think Ayush is 2021, I think.
I've got him at 22, but that's...
Yes.
It's not a perfect guess.
But again, he's been around for 4 or 5 years. The other lads of that age, I'm just trying to remember.
I've got obviously Kindle Adair, who
at Grantham.
He's just moved, and we're not quite sure where he's going to pop up somewhere. But he had a terrific season, 614 runs at 55. He's played for Lincolnshire, and right hand is he middle order bat and bowls as well. Leg spin, I think. And then I've got in terms of the young lads that are jumping out, we had Saraj Nijar, I think.
Yeah, that's the Scunthorpe lad. Yeah, right hand bat.
Lad, so there we go. He's averaged 30, and we've got. I've got a few very young ones. We've got Oliver Carr, who Lincolnshire under 15, just creeping in the last season. So I've got him at 16. He might be younger.
No, he's 16. Guess what he is?
Slow left arm bowler.
Left arm spinner.
There we go.
He's a good little lad.
So he just crept in last year. Was that his first season last year?
He played the season before, and I think,
oh really?
If memory serves me right, he played the last 3 games of the previous season, and I'm sure he maybe took a 5 in, if not the first, his second game.
Really? Yeah, well, he's got 16 wickets last year, so he's certainly one to watch. This year he's going to do well. And it's always nice seeing the young lads coming through. We've got a couple of 17-ish-year-olds, Adin Thomas and Usman Minhas, in the batting front, both over 100 runs last year. So interesting to see how they go. That's Netlham and Grantham. One's on Norfolk's books, the other one at Notts. And then just a bit older, we've got Ollie Dring as well at Spalding. He's 18.
Ollie's good bat.
Yeah, 300 runs there.
Bowling wise, you probably have, though I don't think he actually bowled a lot last year, is Tom Marshall for the Lindham. He's
not popped up here. I don't always get the ages, so that's always tricky.
Yeah, he's a young lad. See, batting wise, the top 20 are all of they've played quite a lot of cricket.
But it's nice to see these young guys, and they very quickly. One year they get 30, 40 runs, the next year 300 runs, and the next year potentially a lot more. And same with the wickets. So there's a few to watch there.
Hayden Brumfield at Netlham, he's his Sunday league batting and bowling was 500 runs and 30 wickets, and on a Saturday in the ECB League it's 16 wickets, so I would think he'd probably like to get 25, 30 wickets. Kieran Harbron, he's another spinner at Sleaford. He's of youngish age. Harrison Tice at Grimsby, I think he's gone to now. He's another spinner.
There seems to be a lot of shuffling about in this league. Is that a merry-go-round? Obviously, some leagues are very settled, others shuffle a fair bit. Is it Lincolnshire a bit of a shuffle?
Yeah, you tend to see, especially with the Lincoln teams, we've got three. So you've got Linden, Bracebridge and Nedland. Even though they do have very hard rivalries, they do tend to go between the three. So, yeah, a couple have gone from Netland to,
Any part of the country where there's more than one team, there's a bit of a merry-go-round, isn't there?
And we're seeing that the guys up north are going Scunthorpe, Grimsby, down to Louth, Alford as well. So, yeah, they do move around a bit.
Okay, so looking forward to this season, you've had one team come up in terms of to the Premier League with Long Sutton. We always like to be interested in teams coming up in particular. How do you think they'll fare this year?
I said to Jake last night, Jake Burton, who does the runs for research, that they should do all right. That they'll have the 4 or 5 teams where they'll want and know that they'll compete. And then the top 4, you just try and get bonus points and try and give them a decent hard game. And that was the same with when Grimsby came up last season, when Netland came up the season before. You got the 4 or 5 teams that mix about down there, and you just try and pick those wins up. And then, like I say, the top teams, you get the bonus points. That's you're not going to, in your first season, though you'd love to turn around and say, I'm going to finish top or second. The likes of Lyndham, Bourne, Sleaford, Woodall, Spa to a certain extent, if they've got Matt Carter playing, they're going to be the top 4 or 5. Market deep in with Hallatulla, bowling and hitting 100.
Well, that brings us to who's going to shock a few people then. Long Sutton, you think will do okay? Having come up from below, who's going to shock a few people who maybe didn't perform last season as they maybe potentially should have?
I think second year and having come up last year and done okay, and that's Grimsby. I think they've got very big aspirations for Isaac Berg, the overseas lad, to take loads of wickets, and they've got George Jury as a backup who's very good, and they've got Steve Crosley who's very wily wicket keeper that will get the troops up and running and as quick as he can, and hopefully get on the back of the coattails of the top 3.
So they're a little bit of a keep an eye on them in particular.
Yeah, Grimsby,
big club Grimsby, got a lot of depth there in terms of the juniors as well. Quite a big setup there, so they've obviously got players coming through.
Yeah, I think cricket's like a merry-go-round. You tend to have 3 or 4 decent years, and then you tail off, and then obviously people move away, and it just seems as though Bracebridge have won out of 23 ECB seasons we've had. They won 12.
Wow.
And Bourne have won 6, and then Sleaford, Hacksey, Grantham and Lyndham have all won 1. So there's only 6 teams that won the ECB League in 23 years. So my money would be Grimsby.
So we have the fixture secretary of the league and the leading umpire who's now backing Grimsby, not backing, wrong word, his thought process please
don't get me in trouble. And can you play this at the end of September?
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
it.
No, we'll play it at the end of September anyway, just for the crack.
And I do love all the clubs as an umpire.
I was going to ask you that as an umpire,
but he loves Grimsby the best.
Is there a ground in the Lincolnshire circuit that you'd say, if you've not been there, come and have a look at this one?
Being a bit biased and having Lincoln Cathedral in the background, Lyndham, though if we go into before COVID with tees, though there's only Bourne that are doing tees, and I'm not the slightest of people, as you can see, I'm very portly and love my tea. All the lads, everybody just says, what do you do while you're not having tea? So it used to be Sleaford, Woodall, Bourne, they all have their own little quirks. So, they're all fantastic. I'll sit on the fence, though the Lyndham is the best one.
That's a proper league exec member sitting on the fence. I like that.
I'm sitting on the fence.
I wouldn't expect anything from a league exec member in the slightest. What are you looking forward to this season, having had, 30 weeks off now, though, Mark? What are you looking forward to yourself? Are you looking just to get literally striding out, hopefully on the 20th of April, and putting that finger up for the first time?
Yeah, so I'm actually starting this weekend doing a charity game out at Skegness for my sins. Okay. So there's a team from North Yorkshire coming down. supposedly 3 coachfuls. They're doing a big community charity event down there, so we're doing that.
Have we got a pitch for them to play on?
I think so, yeah.
Right.
If it's normally a car park, grass car park, they use it as, but they have 2 different squares, so fairly big ground at Skeg. Then on Sunday,
it's not underwater. Then it's not too bad.
No, I've been assured by one of the lads over there that it is the sea's not quite reached the Richmond Drive area. Near the train station and bus station. And then on Sunday, I start the Sunday League, happen to be at Lyndon. There's only 4 games this weekend, but yeah, ready and raring to go. Wash my coat and my shirts are all freshly ironed. Yeah, just can't wait to get out. Like I say,
I think we should all head over there. There's nothing else happening in the country cricket-wise. So I think a trip to Lincolnshire and take the whites.
I think by the time we put this episode out, we will probably find that Lincolnshire is the furthest north that anybody will be playing during the 20th of April. If anyone is further north playing by the time we get to that, I'll be absolutely gobsmacked.
Well, it's north and it's east, isn't it? It's I think the East Coast, I suspect Norfolk, East Anglia Prem probably be getting going, won't they? And I don't know about Essex, but anything west or north is.
Oh no, Essex will be fine. They've got another couple of all those southern leagues.
Of course,
they'll like to wait till May.
East Anglia Prem, they start this week, don't they? I think so. Yeah,
it's been great talking, Mark, about Lincolnshire League and hearing names of clubs and players that I can absolutely guarantee there's a lot of people around the country will not know. But you are one of those 32 ECB Premier Leagues, and therefore, in our way of looking at things, you're as important as every single one else around the country. Be great to follow what goes on during the season, and hopefully keep in touch and get you back on maybe mid-season, or I'll probably get my mate Jake on as well. I'll have to see how he's getting, unless Long Sutton at bottom, because then I won't get Jake on because and he'll be listening to this now going, Liver, will you shut up? I
do want to emphasise I do love every club.
Yeah, but he's only bet on one.
I love every club.
Yeah, that is the viral clip that's going to go out there, isn't it now?
Yeah.
Umpire, Mark Evans, you won't say fixture secretary, will say umpire.
That's it.
Loves every club. But thanks for your time, Mark. Absolutely brilliant to speak and hear more about what's going on over in your way. Because it is a league that, for me and Hugh, we don't know as much about the Lincolnshire League as we do some others, but we are learning as we go along. And I'm sure we'll be talking about 1 or 2 players who make some substantial performances during the season.
And I also run the Twitter page. What was Twitter? X?
Yeah. No, it's still Twitter.
Still Twitter.
It'll never stop. Definitely. No. Thanks, Mark.
No problem.
Cheers now.
Cheers.
So next on our list of previews, and very appropriate for this episode, having already spoken to Mark Evans at Lincolnshire, who thought that they travelled a little bit around Lincolnshire, but he's wrong compared to what the lads down in East Anglia have to do. East Anglian Premier League, sponsored by Thurlow Nunn, and I've been looking, Hugh, this morning. Witham to Great Witchingham, an hour and 53. This league's got some trekking around the place, hasn't it? And it's a big one to talk about.
Well, you won tractor, and that's a 2.5 hour journey away, isn't it? So it's a long way, but it's very peaceful roads around there. It's a nice time. There's lots of nice scenery up and down. Trees, fields, bit of seaside, 2.5 hours, no problem.
I'm not bothered about the scenery. Let's talk about the cricket instead, shall we? Hey, listen, to join us today on this preview, we've got the captain of Sawston and Babraham, Dan Heath, who's joining us, fresh from a weekend away from his birthday. Happy birthday, Dan. Hope you've had a good one.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very, very good. Thank you. Very nice.
Are you relaxed?
I'm about as relaxed as I can be, yeah.
Oh, that sounds like I need to ask your teammates.
I'm all good.
Looking forward to the season?
Yeah, I can't wait now. As everyone knows, it's been a very stop-start pre-season and can't be helped. But we've been ready for a couple of weeks now and just counting down the days now to Saturday. To be honest,
brilliant stuff. And we'll get through 1 or 2 of the clubs as we go along. But we'll start where we start with all our previews. We're going to look at the main movers and shakers and who's been doing what over the winter. And I think there's only one place to start in your league, isn't there? Really, I'm still trying to work out which IPL team are back in Great Witchingham. If you know, please tell us. But surely that's where we've got to start when it comes to the main movers in the league this winter.
Look, no doubt. I mean, just firstly, brilliant for the league, actually. There's always 2 ways of looking at this. You either get the jealousy route where people go, oh,
Yeah.
how much money are you spending? And on the other route is actually how good is it for the league to be bringing these players in and these names in? And also for the players as well, for ourselves, like getting to play against these players or former professional players, our current professional players is what it's all about. You don't play don't want to play the top league and to not play against the best players. So yeah, Great Witchingham, some brilliant signings for both them and the league, to be honest.
And of the three signings, the headlines as such that they've brought in, which one do you think proves the most, shall we say, difficult to the opposition in the league?
Do you know what? It's going to be hard to say because obviously Jake Weatherall, Monty Panazar and Ollie Stone, they're three very different players and all different types of their careers and offer very different things. Look, how many games is Ollie going to play? All these questions, we had first class players play for us before, and you've got them in the team all week, and then it gets to Friday at 11 p.m. and they have to drop out. So you've got that question to deal with. But obviously, if he plays and bowls, the speed in which he plays at, you just can't replicate pace. Panazar, obviously, amazing pedigree, done it at the international level for a long, long time. If he can play 22 games, I can imagine him being there or thereabouts at the top of the wickets, of course. Slow left arm spinners are just an absolute godsend. Jake Weatherall, it's a tiny ground at Witchingham. It's a very good pitch, very flat. Crikey, if he gets going, he could score a few runs. So, I think a lot of it will come down to how many games these guys can play. And they're a team, and actually the captain, Anglia, is someone I get on really well with, and we talk quite a lot. And, he's very pragmatic, I think, and thinks that they're great signings. And if they can get as many games out of them as they possibly can, then that will be a massive, massive boost to them. And if they can, like I say, get 22 out of Jake, 22 out of Monty, and, 5 or 6 out of Ollie, they're going to be incredibly strong.
There's quite a history of Australians in the East Anglia Prem. Certainly compared to other leagues we've looked at. Last year, the one that stood out was Jake Fraser-McGurk. He only managed 6 games, and he didn't actually do brilliant, but he's jumped straight out of the East Anglia Prem into the Australian one-day side. So with Jake Weatherall coming in as well, there's a bit of pedigree there.
Yeah, and the year before we had Peter Hatzoglu as well, who was, incredible overseas and made a huge difference and was one of the main reasons we won the league. And he kind of went from us into the 100, then come back to us at the end of the season. So yeah, there is a lot of pedigree. Whether Jake Fraser-McGurk got into that Australian side through 4 or 5 games with Saffron Walden, I don't know.
I think that was the difference. Yeah, we had. The Essex. That corner of England. The previous was it last summer? Was it this summer before? Had a shock out of Colchester straight into the New Zealand side.
Yeah.
So league cricket. So I think it's that corner of England that's.
I'm absolutely certain our good friend Double G Rumblepants, who is a Saffron Walden stalwart, will tell you it was definitely down to the Saffron Walden games that Fraser got into the Aussie side.
Yeah, without a doubt. And to be honest, my best mate in the team, James van der Peer, got him out at LBW, hit him on the shin at ours, and he's got that in his bio somewhere, I think, on Instagram, just letting everybody know that he got an Aussie.
It's the way to do it, isn't it? Is it down to those tracks, and have we got? I'm going to use the simplest way of putting it, flatter pitches out there in East Anglia, do you believe? And that's why the Aussies have come out there in particular.
Do you know what? I don't think it's that. I think the London element is probably what it is a bit more. Being close locationally to London is very attractive to people. And then also, the kind of commute and distances to get to first class counties as well. Because I know when Pete was with us, Pete was training with Surrey, Northants. I think he went down to Sussex. He went to Hampshire.
Wow.
Essex. So, kind of like locationally, you're put close to London and then obviously close to the counties to get out to as well. So I think that's got a bit a part to play in it without doubt. Are the pitches flatter? I'll tell you in September, maybe.
Yeah. One thing I've picked up on is that seam seems to be more prevalent in the East Anglia Prem than other areas. The top 3 of the top 5 wicket takers last year were seamers, which is reversal of pretty much everywhere else that we've looked at in the country. And also pace. Ronaldo Mayer. It's hard for me to judge pace from afar, but I've heard stories that he's quick. You've got Tim Oakley, South Australian quick.
Dan's face is saying it all.
Well, I tell you what, Ronaldo got 7 for against us at theirs. And again, Jimmy hit Jim in the head, and I think it went for a 1 bounce 4. And then Tim, when he played at ours, he hit me in the head. And amazingly for my batting, that's the first time I've been hit in the head, and that broke my helmet into about 3 pieces.
Wow.
So we had first-hand experience with both those guys. And pace, pace is.
It seems you've been able to recruit real pace. It's not guys in the high 70s. It's genuine pace that causes people problems.
And when someone's quick, it just filters throughout the league, and everyone talks about it. And they get wickets before they start. You know, when there's that element of potential physical harm, that's an extra element in your head that you try not to think about, of course, but is always there. So yeah, and again, just going back, it's a great addition to the league as well. That's like, you know, I don't want to compare us to the top boys at Test cricket, but when you watch a battle on Test cricket with Jofra Archer versus Smith, for example, like there's something about that theatre is totally different, isn't it? And realistically, you know, it's no different in our cricket, really, to be honest. When they've got that extra pace, it does add an extra element to it.
Most definitely. It doesn't matter whether it's club cricket, Test cricket. It's the leg spinner mystery. It's that pace, and it is starting to come around to those bashers like Jake might be as well. That's the difference, isn't it, that people come to watch?
Yeah, absolutely, without doubt. And like I say, these guys wanting to come over here, they see it as a platform to play at our level, to then launch, hopefully, whether it be into a first-class county for some blast staff, or maybe even 100 like Pete did. Like all these things, it's a really good launch pad and a good location to be. So yeah, it's good. It's good to watch and good to play.
Is Ronaldo coming back this year?
Yeah, Ronaldo's back as far as I'm aware. So yeah, we've actually, I think luckily for us, we've got Frinton the midway point on the last game of the season. So I think that means we're only playing once, which is quite handy.
Who else has stood out during the winter with their acquisitions for you then, Dan?
So I think the acquisitions across the board have been pretty impressive, actually, I have to say. I mean, I don't want to talk about us, but we've made 4 really good signings as well. And I'm really excited to see how those guys go. Mildenhall have made 2 really good acquisitions as well. Their overseas player, Casey
Cariappa.
Yeah, Cariappa and Jack Pottercarry coming back are 2 really good additions to them. Frinton, from what we can see, have made some really good signings. And the new team coming up into the division, AB Wanderers, I mean, they're definitely going to add to the league. They've made 4 or 5 signings themselves, which they're going to add. I don't see them as someone that's going to be looking down. I see them as definitely a team that's going to be looking up. So it's Witchingham may have made those kind of like marquee name signings, but I think if you look around the teams, everyone's made some really good, shrewd signings. And to me, the key element is always, if you can get lads that play minor counties regularly, and you know they're going to play 22 games, they're just waiting gold signings. You know, if you can get 9, 10, 11 of the same lads out every week without...
Absolutely.
You're laughing, really. So, yeah, the signings across the board have been brilliant, and the league looks as strong as we've known it in the 4 years we've been in it now.
Yeah, without a shadow, watching over the winter on social media, it's been by far the most active league in terms of signings. And you're right, it's literally top to bottom. Everyone's been at it. There's some overseas come in there. There's some professional, but there's also some young players from around the country been moving in there, hasn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of goes hand in hand. If you're bringing in these big names and you're bringing in the younger players, what a great way for them to learn and see how they operate and how they go about it. So, you know, we've signed a young lad called Ethan Rice, who's just been released by Northants. And didn't know an awful lot about him, to be honest. And he actually approached us, which was kind of different for us. It's normally me on the chase and me approaching people, but he approached us, and that just showed a really good attitude and something that really excites us. And from what we've seen so far, since he's come back from Australia, he looks like he's going to be a real asset to us, and we're really excited to see how he goes.
It was a season last year, just to cover it off for people who don't know, where Sawston, I'm not going to say they ran away with the title because there was sort of only 1.5 games sort of in there from yourself. But you know, what was the difference between them winning and you coming second there, do you think?
Sawston are a brilliant club, rich history within the Premier League, won it countless times, operate on the field in a way that most clubs should aspire to doing. You know, they use pretty much the same squad for the last however many years we've been in the league. So they get that continuity, they get that consistency. Everybody knows their roles. And from 1 to 11, they're all brilliant cricketers. For us last season, we'd come off the back of winning the league 2 years on the trot. And I wouldn't say that motivation played a part, because that's no excuse. I don't think if you play cricket and you're going to give 22 weeks of the year to play and that you're not motivated, but there was a different feel to it. And we never really got going, which is crazy to say. We came second. We've won the league twice and come second the third time. Like, realistically, if you'd offered that to us 4 years ago, we'd have snapped your hands off for it.
Absolutely.
But we look back at that and think it was a missed opportunity, because no one really in our team had a season they're going to remember. No one really played to their full potential. And fair play to Sawston. They were very much the deserved winners, and they'll be thereabouts again this season, to be honest.
I think one of the things I picked up looking through the stats for the East Anglian League as well with Sawston was no one player stood out as being the top batter, the top bowler. They didn't have that many in the top 5 or 10, but it was just consistency throughout the group, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's really important. And I think it's interesting you should mention that, because that was kind of one thing that I looked at was the same for us. We come second and we had no one, I don't think, in the top 10 for batting or bowling potentially, which was kind of a weakness for us, because we like to linchpin around one player who's going to have a really good year, whether it's batting or bowling, and then support them. Whereas, and that kind of, I guess, sums Sawston up, that they're all match winners from 1 to 11 and they can all do the business. And that's exactly what they did last year. So, yeah, it's testament to them that they managed to do that, really.
Right, so let's look at match winners from the young perspective. That's one of the things we always like to look at in the previews. Young prospects, have you spotted any, Hugh, that you've been looking at in particular? I've got one, definitely.
Well, there's one, this is an overseas, so he may not be back, but from last year, Nivethan Radhakrishnan just caught my eye from last year, in that he's an Aussie 21-year-old. Hopefully he's coming back. I suspect he may not.
I don't think he is, no. I don't think he's back for Bury this year. He has got a brother of exactly the same name, or obviously exactly the same as his brother's surname, but very similar first names. I don't know. There was some talk that he might be coming over, but no.
Yeah, that's a shame, because he bowled right arm, the left-handers, and left arm at the right-handers.
Yeah, real rogue that, and he's a good batter as well. Yeah,
absolutely brilliant.
He was brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. Great guy as well.
But looking at, just looking at the batters last year, again, a real high number of young players playing in the leagues. I think we've just done, the Links Prem. A lot fewer there, but here there seems to be a lot of young lads playing. We've got Wayne Routledge. I've got him down as 20. Occasionally, I don't know whether it's Wayne Routledge, but I just think of the ex-Tottenham player.
Will.
It was Will Routledge. There we go. 542 runs, 28. As a 20-year-old, we've got, and then just jumping down as an 18-year-old, Charlie Bennett, just 151 runs, but at 30, at 18. So there's a fair few there. And I even spotted 2 15-year-old what looked like twins who played a game last year for with them, or with them. The McDonald looked like the McDonald twins, looked like the same age, or maybe they're brothers. But so there's a few young players coming in, and I've got a long list of young lads playing. Fewer bowlers, but that tends to be the case, particularly seam bowlers. But so I think this year there'll be a few names to watch. One that isn't in the East Anglian Premier, but really caught my eye last year. It was a lad called Jonah Wicks in the Cricket Alliance. I don't know whether he's been picked up into the AOPL, but his trajectory just caught my eye. He improved year on year, and then he had 600 odd runs at 56 in the Norfolk Cricket Alliance last year on a fairly weak team. He was and striking at 100. So I always look at that strike rate average combination, and so whether he's come over from Bradfield into the league, I'm not sure. Him and Freddie Ferry sort of caught my eye last year, but there's certainly some terrific young players, and as we know, they'll improve this year, so there'll be certainly a few jumping out early doors.
Yeah, those names, I don't know if they have signed for clubs in our league. I haven't heard they have. I guess for me, I know of a couple of lads who are with Essex.
Is Noah Tane one of them?
Noah Fane, so you're close. Noah Fane and Luke Benkenstein as well, who, look, they're in and around the Essex first squad. How many games they'll play for Essex or first team, we don't know. However, that does mean then they're likely to play in their second team, which is obviously predominantly on a Sunday, which means you're likely to see them on a Saturday a lot more. So there'd be 2 lads who have played for England under 19s this winter, who I would be keeping a real close eye on. If they can get 12, 13, 14, 15 games out of both those players, you're likely to see them at the top of batting and the bowling, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
And Noah's still with you guys?
Yeah, Noah's still with us. I've known Noah for the last 10 years, and it's just a delight to see how far he's gone. The nice thing for us this year is he's got no school cricket, so the last 2 or 3 years we've hardly seen him because he's on a school scholarship. So unfortunately, I take the mickey out of him saying he's playing softball cricket for the first 6 weeks of the season rather than playing for us. But his scholarship's now finished, so we've now got him from Saturday on for the foreseeable. So with the bat, he's going to be massive for us, and he was massive for us in the year that we won it in. Last year we won it in 2022. Played a massive part in what we did. So excited to have Noah back.
Well, he's playing second team cricket yesterday, I believe, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was texting me after we got out. So yeah.
Yeah, Hugh and I might have been having a trawl through the second team 11s yesterday, seeing who was playing, who wasn't playing. Quite distinguishable who didn't get games in some cases, but that's by the by. It's second team cricket is a different world altogether. Let's have a look.
Bit of a grind to second team cricket, isn't it? You know, it's players popping up all over the place. But yeah, it's certainly, we certainly see a lot of familiar names jumping out at us.
Let's have a look at the pros and the overseas. We've already talked about the guys who have been brought in by, Jake's been brought in by Great Witchingham as their, is he the pro or the overseas or both at the end of the day? Who else is standing out with newbies in particular? You've gone, hang on a minute, where have they brought that one from, Dan?
Well, I mentioned Mildenhall obviously before. They'd definitely be, they're overseas, he's played the IPL, so yeah. He's a proper player. Saranga Rajaguru again at Sawston. Sangi's is a really great lad, and he's a proper player. And you'll see him again when it comes to leg spin. You'll see him there or thereabouts again at the top of the wickets. Obviously, Copdock have brought in an overseas as well. I think from New Zealand, who looks a similar build to Tim Oakley from last year, so should offer a little bit of pace there. I don't know if I've really missed anybody out there, really, to be honest with you. Not anyone else really necessarily from an overseas perspective that really stands out other than those guys, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah, there's one that jumped out last year, a lad called Christopher Garrard, South African overseas. I don't know if he's come back. He didn't play a huge amount, but 29 wickets at a really good strike rate. Looked like a quick South African overseas quick. Maybe he didn't play him. He only played half a season, I think, but him and Ronaldo Mayer both with very similar strike rates.
Yeah, and obviously I've missed Ronaldo out. Obviously he'd be one that definitely that definitely be there to keep an eye on as well at Frinton. Yeah, without a doubt.
What's the trajectory been from your perspective, Dan, in the EAPL? Because you've been around the league a few years now, but is this pros and overseas just growing all the time in terms of what clubs are doing?
Yeah, I'd say so. So look, we came into the league. Our first year was supposed to be the COVID year, so obviously we didn't probably get a fair reflection of how things would be from that year onwards. But I would say after that point, it's definitely been on the rise. And look, we're a club that, I'm not going to say that we started it, so to speak, but we've always recruited, I think, really well. And we've always had attached to our team a first-class pro. So in the year after COVID, we had Rishi Patel, who was with Leicestershire. Then we had Aaron Thomason, who has just left Sussex at that point. Then we had Nathan Buck the following year, and Bucky was, he'll go down as one, like in his short spell, one of a club legend. To be honest with you, he was fantastic for us and played loads of games. And then last year we had Louis Kimber. So we've always been attached to a first-class pro, and I think it's only a good thing for the league. And obviously, again, with the overseas route, when we had Peter Hatzoglu, you mentioned Jake Fraser-McGurk. Obviously, you've got Jake Wetherall this year. I'm sure I'm missing some people out, but you know that it's just such a good thing that these caliber of players are happy to come over and commit to a summer here, and great for every club and great for the league, really.
There aren't many leagues can put all those names on the slate, are there?
No, exactly, and it definitely makes the league stronger, the name stronger, and if it publicises and pushes the league further, then that can only be a good thing, really.
Well, it's lovely to see guys coming in from overseas playing and then going on to greater things. They're on the upward trajectory. It's great to say that you were part of that journey for these people. And part of improving their game and building their game.
Well, absolutely, and I think this is going to sound awful. His name's lost to me now, but the New Zealand Conway played for Frinton, I think, for a while, and there's loads of players that we could. There's other names which I can't think off the top of my head that have played for the East Anglian Premier League at some point and gone on to bigger and better things. So it's definitely been a good breeding ground for international cricket, that's for sure.
Great.
Definitely a league that's not bringing in the 35-year-old Aussie who just wants a payday for a few weeks in the summer.
Look, he's not come for a payday, but he's over 35. Wayne White plays for us, and I need to send this to White so he sees it. But no, you don't tend to get that. I think clubs are a lot more wiser to that now. I feel like that kind of overseas player is probably on the wane a little bit. People want more for their money, basically. And whether that's coaching, whether that's playing every week, whether that's even playing midweek cricket, whatever it is, they want more than just someone rocking up at 9:30 on a Saturday and going home at 6 p.m. Really, like it's about offering more. So yeah, it's about pros that are hungry to learn and progress their game.
That chairman wants to bang for the buck.
Speaking of aging Australians, Peter Worthington at Mildenhall. He's been around a long time. And to point that out, I saw him play in 2003 for Western Australia against New South Wales. So, and he's up there with the top score last season of 209 not out. So he's doing all right when he plays. I think he's picking and choosing his games, isn't he? But it's certainly a huge amount of pedigree there, and he's still going, hopefully, for another season.
I mean, what a player! Like we don't know a lot about this guy, but whenever he plays, he does something. I mean, we were told he's been opening bowler, and opening bowler for Victoria or something like that, and then he now opens the batting for Mildenhall occasionally.
Yeah, well, I saw him. He played against Steve Waugh in the New South Wales team of 2003, and he got a 50. So he's pretty solid performance.
He ended up at Mildenhall, but there you go. There you go.
I'm not sure whose age was showing the most there, his or yours, Hugh.
I was only 23 at the time. I just went down. I've never seen so much abuse hurled at cricketers in my life as that day at the Wacker. It was brilliant.
And we'll move on from that, definitely, obviously. Hey, let's look at the teams who are going to shock people. People love an underdog. Everyone looks to a league and goes, look, they should. It's that the old Leicester thing in the football, isn't it? Can you see any shocks happening this year in the league, or will it be the usual top 3 or 4, you think, in the East Anglian Premier League?
So I think it will be probably usual faces. However, I expect, like I said, I mentioned earlier, the promoted team to be one that pushes a lot of the established boys. I know how well they're run. I know a guy who's very well attached to the club. He's actually one of my clients at work. And they're very proactive. They're very forward thinking. And the promotion to the Prem for them is not the end goal. It's just part of an overall process to move their club forward. And anybody that thinks like that and thinks in those terms, really, that kind of ethos off the pitch is reflected on it. So I'd be looking at AB Wanderers as a team that, I'm not going to necessarily say they could be challenging for the league title.
But one to watch, definitely.
They could be. But they'll definitely be a team that will add to the league and may shock a few people without doubt.
It's a tough route into the league, isn't it? You've really you can't sort of fall into the league. As certainly in Derbyshire, my club, we ended up we didn't stumble into the league. We did brilliantly, but we weren't ready for it, and then it cost us. Whereas here, you've really got to battle, and then so you are well prepped when you get there.
Well, yeah. I mean, for those that don't know, obviously the Premier Leagues is made up of 3 regional leagues below it. So we've got the East Anglian Premier League, then you've got the Cams and Hunts as one. 2 counties, which is Suffolk and Essex, and then you've got the Norfolk Alliance. And the winners of each of those 3 go into a playoff with the team that comes bottom in the Premier League. So you've then got a semi-final and a final. So theoretically, you can come bottom of the Prem and win the playoffs and stay up. So we're in our season, we won every game in our league, and then we had to win a semi-final and a final to get promoted to the Premier League. So it's a real tough league to get into. Whether that's right or not, I don't know. And whether I agree with coming bottom, you should be able to stay up through beating teams below you. That's another debate, I guess. However, what that does mean is generally the team that comes up is the best team and they add to the league, and that keeps the league strong. And that being said as well, there's not always teams in the leagues below that want to come up as well.
They're not ready, some teams are. Clubs are not ready.
No, they're not ready. And they don't necessarily want that 2-hour journey, like you said. They don't want to go from Frinton to Great Witchingham. That's not for everybody, and I totally get that. So realistically, you only want teams coming up that want to be there and want to add to the league. So it's a tough league to get into, and probably a tougher league to get out of, actually, to be fair.
Hey, we have conversations week in, week out, Hugh and I, about the structure of the Premier Leagues around the country, and they're all so different. And 2 up, 2 down is general in a lot of the leagues, but yours is a tough one. There's no 2 ways about it. And I think AB Wanderers, they've gone the hard way. They've done the hard yards, as the Aussies would say. So they're going to be ready, aren't they? There's no 2 ways about it.
Yeah, and like I say, they're very well run. And look, isn't that the beauty of the Premier Leagues? They're all different in some ways, And
you say, is that the beauty? Hugh and I.
Well, things would be made a lot better if certain leagues would mark on their scorecards whether it's a time cricket or a 50-over match. That would make my life a lot easier rather than having to figure it out.
Yeah. Although to be fair to the East Anglian Premier League, on their league table, it does say limited overs and it does say timed on the league table, whereas some don't even bother with that one, do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think our formats are brilliant, actually. I know it's a different discussion, but And there's been talk at one time of doing it all 50 over pink ball cricket, and there was a few teams that were keen for that, but it's never really got the majority that it needed. And I think that's such a good thing, really. You know, I've always been a believer that if you're playing the top level, you should have two formats. And if the time cricket's too long for you, then go and play a different league, basically.
It's also not that much different, is it? You know, it's not like it's a 90 over the side.
You say that.
But it appears, when people play it, you can see it in the strike rates and all sorts. It's a very different approach.
Yeah, that's 100%. And also, you know, we've walked off the pitch at 9:15. You know, and that's no exaggeration. And you could finish a 50 over game at 5:30. You know, that is a big difference, and it is a young man's league. There's no two ways about it. Like, you know, you've got to be able to commit to the travelling, and then once you travel, commit to playing 10 hours or whatever. You know, so I do get it. And the two formats are very different, and actually that separates the men from the boys, I think, a lot in our league, because that really where everything gets shaken up. I think in pink ball cricket, you do get a bit of a trend. You know who's going to be where come into the season, but obviously the lesser teams or teams in the back foot can play for a draw and keep the other teams out, and that's where you get the real shake up with the points. So, I mean, we're all for the two formats. We really are.
And I think it's probably one of the reasons so many players from your league, as you say, play in the national counties, because they're playing those multiple formats and they're practicing the time games and the 50 over.
And they're probably just key cricketers as well. Obviously, the financial side of minor counties cricket's not really there, but for a lot of counties. But, you know, if you can get a lad that's keen enough to, like I say, play 11 games of red ball cricket and know how long that's going to be and play for 9 hours and 10 hours and draw, they're likely to want to then go and play for 3 days in the dirt somewhere for £40 a day. Do you know what I mean? Like, the ethos is there for cricket. So, yeah, I agree with you on that.
Let's get to the crux of the Thurlow non-East Anglia Premier League then, Dan. Who's going to win it?
Who's going to win it? So I don't know is the answer. I don't know. I predicted Great Witchingham because, look, I said at the start, if you get those players out for 22 and get as many out of Ollie as you can't not be thereabouts. And they're a good side on their merit anyway. The difference dynamic will be for them how they cope when they haven't got those players. That is a different dynamic, and that's something that we found, that you might have big names, but how do you play when they're not about or not performing is going to be the key. I'd expect Swordston to be thereabouts. They are every year. They're such a clever team and a good team. Mildenhall as well, I think, will be thereabouts. I'd like to think we will as well. I think we've got a strong squad, and I'd like to think we'll be thereabouts. Frinton have got a strong squad as well. So, yeah, I honestly, it's anyone's game this year. It really, really is. And what a great place to be as well for the league, that you can't sit here and say they're definitely going to win it. It's kind of anyone's game, really.
So that's the first league, and I predict the only league where someone is going to suggest that the teams in 9th and 10th place last year could be in that top three. That's how tight that league is. It's going to be very, very well. I'll put a name out there that you haven't said. I've got a sneaky on Bury St Edmunds. Okay. Their batting points last year were phenomenal when they weren't winning, obviously. And if you just turn one or two of those into a win as well,
absolutely,
it takes you all the way up there. So you just got to, as you say, April's a lottery. We have no idea. May could be a bloody lottery around half the country, to be frank. We just want June onwards at least to give us some proper cricket and some proper cricket and weather for us, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. It will be, like you say, a lot. The first 2 or 3 weeks are going to be, it could be one person wins the game for someone, quite literally one performance, and that's enough for a win. So, you know, as a captain, you're kind of in two different mindsets. You want everyone to be on it from ball one, but then at the same time, I don't want it to feel like we lose on Saturday, we've lost the league, because that couldn't be further from the truth, you know. So it's going to be a real lottery to start with. And then, you know, you'd think as we get into the red ball and the time cricket, the kind of cream rises to the top, and it's then whether they can withstand it for the last 5 or 6 pink games at the end of the season.
Look forward to following it all the way through, Dan. I'm sure we'll keep in touch. We'll be watching those excellent socials that you guys put out across Sawston and Babraham and the Thurlow League. Without a shout, the best league on Instagram. I'm blowing your own smoke up your own trumpet there. I know you know a lot about it, but it is the best. Very few leagues have adopted the Instagram side yet, and you guys have done that and done a fabulous job, which is brilliant. So it's going to keep a close eye on that. And obviously, we'll keep in touch and hopefully get down to 1 or 2 of the games down in East Anglia at some point as well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It's something the league put a big thought towards, the kind of PR side and the commercial side, and that's how we picked up the Thurlow non-sponsorship. That was through social media, so you know, it's kind of paid dividends in that sense. And yeah, same for our club as well. It's a big thing for us. But yeah, look, we'd love to welcome you guys down and and experience hopefully a thrilling Red Bull win rather than a team blocking it out for the last hour and a half. You know,
great place to end. Thanks a lot, Dan.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Premier League Cricket Show. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes and stay updated on all the latest news, views and discussions from around the Cricket Premier Leagues. And be sure to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram at TPL Cricket Show on both. Join the conversation, share your thoughts and connect with us and your fellow Premier League cricket fans. And hey, if you enjoyed the show, why not show us some love? Leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast platform, as it helps other potential listeners to find us when they're searching for cricketing podcasts. Thanks again for being part of the Premier League Cricket Show family, and until next time, have a good one.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.